Great explosions cut short our memories. We knew that Yamashita had requested instructions from Tokyo. This was Tokyo's answer.
It is January 9, 1945. The Filipino-American forces finally land in Blue Beach, Dagupan, in Lingayen. Preparations are being made to take back the city of Manila from Japanese imperial forces. The Philippine capital has been occupied for 3 years and 7 days. Field Marshal Douglas MacArthur plans a two-pronged pincer attack. His forces are to enter the city from the north and south. He is hoping for a peaceful surrender of the city, but General Tomoyuki Yamashita, commander of the Japanese forces in the Philippines, has no intention to declare Manila an open city. They are prepared to die to the last man. Meanwhile, due to extreme inflation, the city has been suffering from starvation. There is a sense of abandonment and confusion and a breakdown of peace and order. The Filipino-American forces begin their march southward to Manila as guerrillas help liberate the surrounding towns. The countdown to liberation begins. January 21. Units of the U.S. 14th Corps alongside Filipino guerrilla troops under Major General Oscar Griswold start their advance to Manila. U.S. forces led by Major General Joseph Swing and the Hunters ROTC, the famous Filipino guerrilla unit under Colonel Eleuterio Adevoso, advance to Manila from the south. The highly tense city awaits. Japanese death squads have already begun committing atrocities in some parts of the city. On the same day, the Northern Force liberates the Malacañang Palace. The University of Santo Tomas was liberated next. The Japanese use all means at their disposal to stop the American advance. Meanwhile, the Southern Force faces fierce resistance, which delays what would have been a simultaneous attack on Manila on both fronts. Several Japanese soldiers also took hold of the Great Eastern Hotel's upper level and shoot at civilians and soldiers on the ground indiscriminately. The next day, the Japanese set fire to commercial areas in Manila, causing panic among the civilian population. The streets have been barricaded. Electricity has been cut off. The food supply is quickly depleting. Field Marshal MacArthur finally enters Manila and visits the liberated UST and Bilibid. He commands a joint Filipino-American force that crosses the Pasig River amid gunfire. In Ermita, shells hit the residential blocks. Among the damaged homes were that of future President Elpidio Quirino at Colorado Street. The Quirino family decides to move to the home of a relative across the street. The family huddles. As they cross the street, 4 Japanese soldiers fire machine guns at them. The eldest of the children, Thomas, looks back to see his mother and 2 sisters lifeless. In another part of the city, the Japanese lock up thousands of men, women, and children in a chapel and blow up the dome ceiling above them. Those who flee are shot. Another massacre ensued at the Vincentian Central House, as priests, acolytes, and Chinese residents in the house are bayoneted. The next day, the northern and southern forces merge into one command. They capture the most important power source of the city. The Japanese fought to the death, and the plant was destroyed. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Red Cross, Japanese soldiers begin to kill patients, physicians, mothers, and infants. Only the director of the infirmary, Modesto Farolani, survives. By this time, several families have taken refuge in the German club. Thinking that the Japanese won't harm the Germans, they're Axis allies. However, Japanese soldiers still burn the clubhouse without warning, shooting everyone at will and hurling grenades. The massacre lasts until midnight. The killings continue unabated. 2 days after, at the Perez Rubio residence, the Japanese soldiers break in, ordering the residents to gather rugs and drapes and pour gasoline on them. The smoke suffocates them. Residents who flee are met with bullets. At the nearby De La Salle College, the Japanese begin bayoneting and shooting 68 unarmed refugees, murdering 16 Christian brothers. Around 41 are murdered. Valentine's Day. Realizing that the battle has taken its toll on the city, Filipino-American forces commence assault after assault on several Japanese holdouts in Manila. The UP campus is attacked simultaneously with the Rizal Memorial Stadium and the new police station. Final battles are about to be waged just outside Intramuros, where the government center is situated. Hundreds of civilians are led by the Japanese from the Santa Clara Convent towards the environs of the Palacio del Gobernador. The Japanese take 2 large air raid shelters from the foundations of the former site of the building and command the civilians to enter. Moments later, the Japanese lob grenades into the ventilation pipes, killing the civilians inside. On February 23, Filipino and American forces finally reach Intramuros. They surround the walled city and begin their all-out assault. With the help of Filipino guerrillas, 2,000 civilian prisoners are rescued from San Agustin Church within the walled city. The newly freed prisoners cross over to the Liberation Forces side, ensuring their safety. Intramuros is finally liberated. To their shock, they discover 600 Filipinos dead in Fort Santiago, all of whom died of bayonet wounds and gunshots. The weary but resolute Filipino-American forces finally reach the government center. They fire 1,700 rounds of artillery on the Legislative Building, an Agriculture Building, Finance Building, the last of the Japanese holdouts, to end the battle once and for all. These holdouts are heavily defended by approximately 700 Japanese soldiers, and it takes 3 days to completely crush the resistance and liberate the buildings. On March 3, 1945, with the liberation of the Finance Building, Major General Oscar Griswold reports that all enemy resistance has ceased. The city is finally liberated, but at great cost. The scale of the battle engulfed the structures that once defined this beautiful cosmopolitan city. Priceless national treasures are lost forever. And as the smoke lifted, approximately 100,000 men, women, and children have suffered and died. The city has been razed to the ground, and the loss was as great as the grief that enveloped the nation afterwards. We remember the fallen, the heroes that stood against reckless hate, and the sacrifice that made the free city of Manila truly the Manila of our affections.